All right, are we good? Looks good? Okay. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Today I'm going to talk about what makes you unique in your business and hopefully challenge you to really step outside your box. I resonated with a chapter in a book I read. So I'm going to hold up, I just have a copy of the front of it. So that's the front of the book, which I actually got from our fearless leader, Melody. But the book is called Instant Leads, and it's by Bradley J. Sugars. This was just one chapter of the book was what makes you unique. And it was, I really resonated with it because I've been in business 15 years now, and it took me a while to find out what made me unique. And I'm going to just kind of tell you my story as we go along. So let's start this, make sure it works. There we go. Okay, so first I want you to consider today, like, we're really going to try to step outside your box. So I want you to not be concerned with time or money. If time or money were no object, what would you do to make yourself unique? First, what is a successful unique selling proposition? So, we're really going to look at what makes you unique and what are you aiming for? And it's something that's going to be impactful to whoever your ideal client is. And so an example they gave in the book is, have you ever seen an actual restaurant or a story on the news about a restaurant that has no menu? And that makes it really unique, and you really, think like, oh, I want to try that. Many years ago, my in-laws had a house outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and there was a place on a country road, this little tiny building. It was a restaurant. They had no menu, and the place was packed. You had to call and get a reservation like weeks in advance. And when you showed up is when you found out what was on the menu that day, what they were cooking. So it just made people really curious, I think. But also, what's successful USP is something that you're going to be able to compete with. Well, let's do the next slide. So there's 4 steps to creating a powerful USP, and these are the 4 steps. And what I want to ask you, and probably Becky and I may have had a similar experience. So when you decided to go into the field you're in, or you decided to start your business, did you do any research beforehand? Did you know if there was room for one more person? Were there people who were really successful, of course, in your business? In every business there are, but then are there people who are really struggling? Is the market glutted with insurance salesmen or life coaches or florists or real estate agents? And probably some of you would say yes to that. So of people who are doing what you do and they're struggling to do it. So when you first started, how much research did you do? I want to say that my career, my focus is very small. So it was easy to do the research. I looked at how many people there's an association for organizers, there's a local chapter. I was able to find out how many people were in the local chapter. Later, I realized that there's probably a lot of people that aren't belong to the association that are calling themselves the same thing that I'm calling myself. So I kind of doubled the number, but it's really a very small number still for this Washington, D.C. area. But I looked at geography was important to me because I meet with clients in their home. Again, for Becky, it's not going to be important because she can meet with clients anywhere. Again, real estate agents, it depends on what you do. Linda, again, would not be able to help anybody who, I don't think so, who lives in California. So you know, is your type of business something you need to focus on geography or not? So a couple of things that I did very early on, because I thought, what are these people in my local community that are colleagues that are doing what I do? What do they not offer? Most people want to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so I immediately offered that I would work with people on the weekends. And we all know that there are a lot of people in this area who cannot or will not take time off of work to get something else done. So I found clientele that was interested in that. I also will go out and talk to any prospective client for free, because I learned that most people and most of my colleagues wanted to be paid for that. And I can't tell you how many people said to me, you know why I hired you? Because you were willing to come out and meet with me first. And again, I'm in a profession, very different from real estate or medical insurance, that people don't really know what they're buying when they hire me. So the idea of, I thought, well, I can make them feel comfortable, right? Let's click again. So what you really need is to know that there's enough business out there for you, and then why would someone hire you opposed to someone else? When I spoke about this in Manassas, I gave an example, and so if you are familiar with Manassas at all, you're going to recognize that there's a busy intersection in Manassas, just as if you're driving down 28, or if you're on Sully Road, it's the intersection where they both cross. Very busy intersection right before you get into downtown. And a couple of years ago, there very quickly went up on 3 of the corners of that intersection, the 3 big drugstore chains. They all built a building and had a shop right there. You could literally cross the street and be in the next drugstore. And actually, less than a mile away, there was a second CVS. And I don't think there's that much call for drugstores in Manassas, or the idea that they were so closely located that they couldn't have spread out. And if you go by there today, I know the CVS that was down the street is closed, and at least one of the 3 drugstores on that corner are also closed. So it's surprising it was surprising to me that these really large companies I felt like they didn't do their research to know that, yeah, they want to compete, but do they really need to compete across the street? And Manassas is big enough, they could have found a better or different location maybe. So if you don't have a reason for your ideal client to hire you, then why would they? So that is kind of the big question, and it's kind of harsh, but what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? Why would someone hire you? So first you want to look at, say, your target market. Who are you trying to attract? And then you could probably add to this list. To this list for even myself, I added, is it someone with children or no children? Is it someone who is working or retired? Is it somebody who is a CEO or a mid-level management type of, what type of work they do? So you really want to know who your ideal client is, and then look at what makes me unique that they are looking for. So I'm going to get out of this, and we're going to move on to the first exercise. To what makes you unique, and this has to do with kind of the research that you may have done or want to do to figure out what makes you unique. So this is, can you see the page with the questions on it? All right. And you guys were, if anybody wanted to download it, you were able to download the link? Okay, great. So we're going to take 3 minutes for you to fill out or read and contemplate, if nothing else, the questions in exercise 1. What makes you unique? And again, we're really focusing on your competitors and your industry. All right? Okay, you have about 30 seconds more. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the presentation. There we go. All right, is there anybody that would like to speak up and anything they learned, anything they thought about, like, oh, my competitors do this, my competitors. Okay, that's fine. I'll ask you later to talk about yourself. Okay.
I'll speak up.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I made a lot of notes, so I'll try to be brief. When you talked about what makes you unique, like you, I do free consultations. So what would you do a consultation with in a flower shop, right? Well, weddings, a lot of people charge for that because there's a lot of time, effort, and energy that goes into it. Office visits, because we do plant installations. While we're not a plant maintenance company, how am I going to know what your office space looks like, what light you have, what the conditions are if you don't go out and visit? I also do this for our schools, our offices, when they have a country clubs, when they have a need. I mean, you're not going to know what you're designing for. I mean, some people send a picture just to get the ball started, but you really have to be present in that space. So that we do. We import direct from the farms. All during COVID, we had no problem getting flowers. Even local wholesalers either shut down or were only bringing in what flower shops paid for. The way wholesalers normally work is they have a plethora of items and you can kind of shop over the phone or on their email, and that wasn't happening. So that forced a lot of flower shops on a smaller scale who don't have our resource to close or have a very limited inventory. We were not affected by COVID in that regard at all. And also getting direct from the farm, we have better pricing. There are some local places that sell to the public because they're wholesale to the public. News alert, the government is not regulating. They don't come out and inspect you and check your price list to make sure they are truly wholesale. Our prices, we will sell direct to the public or an event planner if they want to design their own work. If you wanted, hey, a lot of people are doing weddings at home now, or they're on a strict budget. They don't have 15 grand to drop on just flowers, right? Blow your mind. People do that. We'll sell to them. We will sell them bulk flower prices, and our prices are typically less than the other places that are available locally now that sell to the public. And we're family owned and operated for over 60 years. We started with the traditional flower shop and evolved to this warehouse business model. As far as what our competitors do that we don't do, we don't have all the rental items for those larger events. I mean, this area is very diverse, which is wonderful, but you have Indian weddings, you have Persian weddings, you have all kinds of weddings that are very elaborate, and we have chosen to offer a certain set of rental items on a smaller scale because there are companies who do that. So we can suggest who that you can go there. But often I hear complaints about, I don't know what I'm going to get when I order from a flower shop. If I'm ordering online, there's no recourse because customer service is so bad. I mean, we pride ourselves on our customer service. And we deliver 7 days a week to over 200 zip codes. So to your comment about not servicing in California, if it's beyond our delivery borders, we can find a shop for you. We are forced to go through a wire service, which means the wire service is going to take 40% of your order. So what we tell everyone, if you have a need, Google a shop, make sure it's a shop and not another website in that area where you're shipping want your gift to go to your mom or your cousin. Call the shop directly. With my team here, which is why I can do what I do so efficiently, is because I have a team backing me up. My team here, anytime anyone calls us directly from out of state, chances are they're going to order again and again and again. So we want to make them a regular customer. We treat them like every other local customer. We give them, we set them up with an account. We tell them about us, and, often they will order again because you're not going to send to your mom maybe just once a year or once every other year. Maybe you want to do it more than that. So we want to give them the value, and then that saves them, just like it would save you, that 40%. The flower shop, call them, say, hey, look, I have a local shop here, but they told me how it works. I want my mom to get, really beautiful things. I know you're going to take good care of me. I want you to get all the money. And believe me, they want to get all the money too. So, that's just something that, I think we're honest with our clients and we set expectations. And, I would rather over deliver than over promise.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Linda. So, and she just spoke to the next portion of this. So you can find uniqueness in these 7 areas. So, really consider which one of these apply to you. And again, my ideal client is somebody who is a professional who doesn't have the time to do the project that they want done. So, for me, speed is one of the uniquenesses. Again, in my industry, most people work alone, and I have a team of people who are employees, and we will go in as a team and get it done. So, I can't tell you how many times I've stood in a garage with a client, and we're standing in a quite full 2-car garage. And I'm telling them Saturday morning, we'll be here Saturday morning. We should be done by 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And we look, and that is appealing to somebody who feels like they do not have the time. So that also makes it convenient for them. But Linda spoke to several of these, the purchasing experience, the price, the quality, everything. So which ones will work for your type of business? And then you really want to think of how do people think of you. Again, like impressions are mean everything. So if there was a phrase that your customer would say to describe you now, right now, what would it be? So when somebody says, oh, you're the guys who, what is it? What is it that makes them say that? Now we're going to look at, now we're going to look at the same thing. If you had one phrase that you would like your customers to say in an ideal world, what would it be? And so again, you're the guys who, what makes you unique? Because I guess I'm trying to remember what everybody does, but in most professions, I think people shop around. And so what is going to make you stand out to that person that maybe you're not doing now? Okay, so I'm going to get out of this. And now I'm going to have you do exercise number 2. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. It's only a couple of questions, so I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to do it. But what are the 4 reasons your customers come to you rather than your competitors? If you can think of 4 things, that's great. You're doing wonderful. And what are the 4 ways you're different from your competitors? Kind of the same kind of question, maybe a little bit different though. So we're going to just take 2 minutes and see if you can answer these 3 questions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. I want to say when I spoke in Manassas on this, Michelle from nitaplumber.com, yes, spoke up and said, wow, what do we do? We make appointments. We don't say we're going to be there between 9 and 11. We say we're going to be there at 11. And if you think about it, for someone who needs a plumber in their house, and they are going to have to take a day off of work or a morning off of work, or run home when the guy calls from the truck saying, I'm on my way, I'll be there in 15 minutes. How much nicer, that really makes them unique in that you make an appointment with them, so you know exactly when you need to be available. All right, whoops, let me open this up a little bit. Okay, so now you want to ask yourself, does this uniqueness that you've come up with really matter to your customers? So does your ideal client line up with what makes you unique? Because if it doesn't, then you have to either change what makes you unique or change who your ideal client is, right? All right, and so at which point is the most marketable of stuff you've come up with? Because you can be everything to everyone, you can try to do that, but if you have an ideal client, you really want to focus on what they are looking for that's unique about you. So we're going to do exercise number 3, and it's a little bit longer, but we're going to identify some unique points. So I'm going to go back to that. Okay, now the page is, I'm going to try to squeeze it in. You're going to see almost all of it on the page. But these are a lot of questions that you can, a lot of them are not going to apply to you specifically, but they may apply to someone else. But what, you know, what could you say makes you unique? So do you offer better value for more money? Or are you the cheapest guy in town? Or are you the fastest in town? Or do you have the most credentials behind you? Do you have a special ingredient in your product? What makes you, what can you use to appeal to your ideal client? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to read this and identify. All right, we're going to go back. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So, I want to open it up to anybody. You know, did you identify something, say, or something on that list spark your idea, like what is most marketable for you, or how you can identify yourself differently that would appeal to your ideal client? Or is there something that you saw on this list that gave you an idea, the list gave you an idea of something you should be doing? Nobody? All right, we're going to go on. I'm going to tell you, let me tell you just a little story about, again, my business. This was one of the things that I found, like, what should I be doing? And I found that I was able, what, Ben, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, Bob, can you hear me?
Yes.
Bobby was trying to speak then, but I couldn't hear her
Oh,
either.
Bobby?
Oh, you couldn't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can
know.
hear you now.
No, I was just going to say that the point in exercise 3, serve a specific group overlooked by your competitors. That's one of the things that I do. I think Tom could probably agree with his niche as well. And then providing services above and beyond, like when it comes to, for real estate agents, I mean, the industry had kind of phased into more of a Redfin model where people wanted fast and cheap. And now it's kind of moving in the other direction where like all of us got sick of those automated, you know, when you call and you get an automated voice or whatever. So everybody's switching back to having people, live people there. So the real estate industry seems to be switching back as well, where people want a live person that's there for them every step of the way. So a lot of us are going above and beyond and providing staging services and providing, you know, referrals to contractors and organizers and people that can help. So we're trying to be like more of a well-rounded agent rather than just I'll sell your home for you. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're, you know, you'll see.
Yeah, I agree with. I totally agree with you. I mean, you're dealing with the biggest sale or purchase of your life. You know, I want somebody. I want to hold somebody's hand. I want assistance. So, and in my business, what I found is as I evolved and I decided like, okay, I wanted to work with those professionals who didn't have the time. My business evolved into, we really specialize in really large jobs. So, I mean, I have moved people from just one location to another locally that have involved so many moving parts. It's amazing, but it's very similar to you, Bobby. It's a big project and they want somebody else to tell them how to do it. They're very, very hands off. So, and a lot of people, again, if in my profession, I realized like, you know, if somebody is a solopreneur and they're doing it's just them, the really large job like that may not be appeal to them because they just don't have the time and the resources to do it. Because I'll send, you know, my employees out to do the research or to do certain work, and so we're able to complete it, you know, in a time frame that the client needs. So again,
organizers too, Janet, I think a lot of times people picture an organizer, like I know I used to, and I'd be like, okay, there's one person that comes in and they're showing me thing after thing and saying, what would you like to do with this? What would you like to do with this? Nobody has time and energy for that. So the fact that you have staff and that it can be done without, you know, me being present there like 24, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and to speak to that, that's my ideal client, but that's not to say that we don't do the other type of work. Again, same with you. You have an ideal client or a couple of ideal clients, but you're not going to say no to business. Right. But you know who's the client that makes your day? That's the one you want more of, right? Okay, so let's go on. So we're going to try to be more specific, and this is the last little list. We're going to go ahead and read that. You know, you've maybe identified like, okay, there is something unique to what I do. This is what I do, but how are we going to promote it? How are you going to talk about it? So these are a couple of different kind of ways you can, the broad selection. So if you sell products or something, or a discount price, you know, maybe you want volume, and so you're going to look at price. But also, if you read these two statements under the discount price, it's not especially saying that they're the cheapest. It's just that they identify themselves with a discount of some kind. And so, again, service oriented, which probably a lot of us are, but how can, you know, all of us on this call could say we're service oriented. So how can you say you're unique in the way you're service oriented? And then the snob appeal always works with certain clientele, right? You want to be the best, you want to be the first, you want to be the top, you want to be the, again, so that was another thing that appealed to me. Maybe for Bobby and Ben as well. I am the type of person that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best I can. So I'm going to be a member of Net 2.0. I'm going to show up at the meetings. So why not be a leader and be able to get in front of people? I had that same, understanding when I joined my local association. How can everybody here know me? Because I started when I was brand new and, no credentials behind me. I introduced myself as, I'm Janet, I live in Centerville, Virginia. And you know where that is? It's way out west on 66, because I did realize that no one else in the group lived as far west as I did. And I still have people to this day call me to say, if someone called me and they live in Manassas, I don't want to drive there, because they remember that about me. So at the time, that was all I could come up with that made me unique. But I also figured if I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to jump in, all the way. So I did, for years, I was on the board of my local chapter. I ran my local chapter. Again, how do you market that? How do you market that you do that? Now there's social media, and you can market that you lead in different ways on social media. It's something, so I'm gonna pull it up in a minute, but I mean, something as easily as putting that I was the president of the DC chapter of NAPO on my email signature and on my website. I, again, can't tell you how many people that said, I hired you because you're the president of that group. They didn't know anything more than that, but it gave me a credential that no one else had. So, okay, we're going to go back to the presentation. All right. So, so these are some ideas that they had in the book on different types of businesses and how they make them unique. And look, Linda, you have florist is on there. The suggestion they had for a florist is to offer professionally written notes in your floral arrangements. So, but again, can you apply any of these? Can you offer the 10th appointment free? Can you offer, if you do any kind of training, can you offer a percentage of proficiency? I'm going to come in and do training at a company, and they're going to take a certification test at the end, and I'm going to guarantee that business that 75% of the people will pass the certification. Again, the restaurant where you pay what you want, there's no prices on the menu. Or, could you offer reward cards or free drawings like convenience stores might offer? Something like that may make you different. So you can take an idea from a different type of business and apply it to your business, and maybe that will, make you unique, right? So what else do you need to think about and how truly unique you are, and how do you do that? How do you communicate that? So when you do a one-to-one, do you tell somebody, the person you're speaking with, what makes your business unique? Because even in Net 2.0, there's several real estate agents. So when I'm standing in front of a client, I want to remember what's unique about each of those real estate agents, so that I can refer the correct person, and then make myself look good because I found the perfect person for them. And so how do you train your network to help you promote your uniqueness? And again, then how can you do it yourself? So again, as simple as putting what makes you unique on your business cards or your email signature or a letterhead, and again, your website and social media. And then again, in your elevator pitch, at the beginning of these Net 2.0 meetings, we say your name and your business, and maybe one phrase about it. Can it be the thing that makes you unique? because people will remember that. We all have, or a lot of us have experienced other networking events where they do a 30-second, or you have a tagline, and that everyone always introduces themselves with their tagline. You know, maybe what makes you unique needs to be part of your tagline, right? And so I believe that's it. Let's see, we're done. I'm gonna click, yep, need to get out. So I'm gonna open the floor. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I am going to stop recording.